What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Force Feedback. Today, our topic is Destiny and Destiny 2. With me, our special guests today are Tech Sarge and Cal Calisius. What's going on, guys?
Good.
What's up?
Try it again, Cal.
Hey Rob, how you doing?
Good, good, good. Did I use the right name?
Yeah. It's hard to pronounce the second name, but it's Calicitus.
You guys and your names, we're going to get that shit squared away.
Yeah.
All right, so we're talking today about Destiny and where it is and what kind of title it is for you guys that are playing it. There are quite a few people still playing Destiny, believe it or not, and I think they are, they're coming out with Destiny 2. I think that's in the fall. Do you guys, either one of you guys know what day it's going to be released for Destiny 2?
Yeah. So Destiny 2 is going to be coming.
Try it again, Cal. Destiny 2 is coming out when?
Destiny 2 is coming out on September 8th.
Okay. Well, let me just start with you, Tech. What is your favorite thing about Destiny?
My favorite thing.
I
Well,
mean, why do you like Destiny more than any other FPS?
I think it's a I think it's a social aspect about that game that always strikes me. You can just go online and you can always get three or six people and yeah, just kill people.
Okay, so you like the camaraderie and you like being able to group up with people and get into it online. What's your favorite thing about it, Cal?
Um, my favorite thing about Destiny has always been the PvE aspect. So like the strikes and the raids. Um, Usually when I'm playing, I'm either doing a long binge on strikes in the playlist or doing raids with friends, and there's been times where I'll do like 3 or 4 raids a day
Just because they're what?
because they're fun.
How long does an average raid take you now?
Now, anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes probably. They're pretty short.
And how long is the strike?
Strikes usually around 10 minutes.
So what happened to the game modes where it was like I thought the raids used to be like 2 hours, 3 hours.
Well, the raids, as people just gradually got better at them, it sped up a little bit. When when Vault of Glass first launched, people were only level 28 and level 29, and so they were really underleveled in regards to the max level being only 30. So but now the max level has been completely changed, and it's the sublight level and the actual level. And the sublight level is 400. Um, and if you're a 400 and you're doing the raids now, you're way over level of what you're supposed to be. So it's a lot easier to kill the enemies and get the encounters done quickly.
Do you agree with that, Tech?
Yeah, I do. I guess if you do them a few times, you know what to do because the some of them are really intricate, so you need to exactly know what you're doing. So if you've done it a few times and you have six people that or five people that you've done it a lot with, then it's easy. I guess the sublight level also helps. Since I think the raids they upped it now to 390, but you're still 400, so yeah, it does make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
What's your level now, Tech?
Well, I have my hunter on 400 right now, so
And Cal?
I have a hunter, a warlock, and a titan, and they're all at 400.
So you've maxed out all of them.
Yeah.
Tech, for you, what's your favorite? I would say, what's your favorite map or what's your favorite raid on the game?
I'm a bit nostalgic here. I do like Vault of Glass.
And same question for you, Cal. Which map do you like the best?
My favorite raid is Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Volta Glass. Volta Glass was, in my opinion, less of a like a video game mechanic thing more than it was more like an art to me. It was just really a really like a really cool experience when you went into the Vault of Glass for the first time and got to see everything in there, and it was just really cool. So
All right. Well, I haven't. This is another game title where I haven't played in a long time, so I'm sure, I would be a little bit lost in that. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. Volta Glass was the last DLC, correct?
Vault of Glass was actually the first raid, so it came with Vanilla Destiny.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think of the? What do you? Well, let's go back to you, Cal. I'm sorry, Tech. What do you think of the most recent update DLC?
Well, I haven't played the last one that much, but yeah, I think Rise of Iron is just another addition to the story. That it's a bit weird though. I do have to say I don't like the raid. Um, I would say it's too easy. Not to sound arrogant, but it's just you have to do the same thing over and over again until you get the guy killed, and then that's it. And then you go to the next room, and then you have a jump puzzle, and then the next guy, and then the jump puzzle, and then so it becomes a bit uh, monotonous,
Tedious?
I would say.
Yeah, it sounds it. I did a couple of those where you had the puzzle level and all that, and I always wound up with some friggin' 12-year-old who'd be like, "Do you know what to do?" No, I don't know what to do. And it gets a little
Yeah.
frustrating.
Uh,
You want to say something, Cal?
yeah, I was just gonna come off of that point with all the 12-year-olds because um, finding teams now is really reliant on either finding a group of friends or going onto websites like Destiny LFG.
Why do you think that is?
Well, mostly because of the fact that in game Destiny doesn't have a matchmaking for raid. Like they don't have a matchmaking system uh for for raids or pretty much like nightfalls or anything really important. So you can't just find teammates in the game. You have to actually go out and search for them. So people in the community made websites like Destiny Tracker and Destiny LFG where you can go on there and find teams off of that. But it people on there generally aren't very good at the game, so to speak. And I don't mean to sound arrogant again, but it's just kind of a fact.
No, just a little bit arrogant. What's your feelings on that, Tech?
Well, he is kind of right though. You kind of always have to have a group of friends to go into the high end content. Otherwise, you're not gonna get any of the things you can get from those. Yeah, I
All
think
right.
it would benefit if they would have yeah, matchmaking system. I agree with that with Cal.
Would you guys both say that that's probably the one thing about Destiny that where they failed?
Um, I'd say that's one of the things. Destiny wasn't perfect when it came out, and it could still be better.
Tech?
Yeah, I agree. Incohesive story. PvP is a mess, especially if you play trials. Um, yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talk, for those that may not be, too familiar with it, you're watching the video in the background here, but there is a PvE, player versus environment, and player versus player, PvP. PvP is very much like any other online shooter. You have the limitations of obviously the game, the character movements, and all that, but essentially it's the same thing. If you're playing Call of Duty or Battlefield or something else, there's always going to be some dickhead running around the room, and then there's going to be this one sniper who never misses, and you're the poor little schlep that gets to be friggin' sniper bait. And I gave up on the PvP side of the game really early because of that kind of bullshit. I mean, I did do well but not like you guys. But I just didn't have a fun with it. I have a similar problem sometimes with Titanfall, where the skill level of the players is so vastly different. You have the noobs like me, and then you have all these ridiculously good players. There's not many middle ground players. I mean, do you think that that's true here in Destiny, Cal?
Yeah, actually. The whole entire PvP kind of just um, revolves around a meta, and that's always been the case where one or two weapons or a genre of weapons, so like pulse rifles or scout rifles, will just be better than every other weapon. And for a long time, um, through the Dark Below and the House of Wolves, the meta was usually hand cannons, and when it became that, there was no diversity in what you would see in low end players trying to use whatever they had, and then you would see the elitists or the high level players using hand cannons or whatever the meta was, and that's just kind of how the PvP's always been.
Tech, I mean, do you feel that that's true? And if so, what kind of loadout do you run?
Um, yeah, I think that's true. Um, it depends on what I'm doing and what the map is. If it's a lot of close quarters, I'll most likely use a auto rifle and a shotgun or something. If it's a little bit more long distance, I'll use scout rifles and snipers. If I don't like the snipe, I have to say, but sometimes it's very necessary. But you do see whole classes of weapons that are used more than others. If I don't know about Cal, but I've played some trials with some Dutch friends that I have, and yeah, most people have the same loadouts. It's very it would be very weird if you see something new there, and then that can be yeah.
Yeah, well, what works is what people use.
The meta currently, um, the Mida multi tool, which is a rifle, uh, and any various amounts of the trials weapons probably. Um, so the loadout you probably see the most often is in trials. Um, Probably a meta or a Mida and a sniper.
All right, try and hold that button a little bit longer there, Cal. You're breaking up at the end.
Oh,
Um,
sorry.
Tech, if there was one thing that you could change about any gun, loadout, or map, what would it be?
God, you are asking hard questions.
It's your game, buddy. Somebody asked me that about Battlefield. I'll tell them in a second.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Guns. I don't know. I think. I mean, the might is pretty powerful, like he said. So that could be toned down a little bit. But
Do you think the weapons balance is good throughout the different character choices, or do you think it's bad, which is why people wind up playing one class and one loadout?
I wouldn't say it's bad. But I would say it's unbalanced. I think they either buff or nerf sometimes too much. They tweak weapons too much, and then either they become really really good and everybody plays with it, or they become really really bad and you won't see that gun being used anymore. So yeah, I would change something about the balance, but I think for them, I think it's very difficult to do. Everybody has their own wishes, so they can't take into account everybody.
Tech, do you play PvE, PvP at all?
Yeah, actually a lot.
Huh. And how do you rate the PvP versus the PvE? Which one would you say is more fun for you?
Um, Not counting raids, I can play PvE all day by myself. That's fine. I do like the PvP modes that really rely on how do you say that? that you need tactics, you need to work together. So stuff like elimination and well, trials, of course. Those kind of things are really fun, but yeah, the other ones is just another shoot 'em up.
Cal, you have an opinion on that?
Um, yeah, I mean, uh, like
You're breaking up.
oh, sorry, yeah, I'm trying to. My mic is a little quiet. I don't know why. But I think my favorite things to do in PvP, and I do play PvP quite a lot. But PvE takes up most of my time because if you're just sitting in strikes all day, like listening to music, it's really kind of a lax thing to do. Take a whole lot of skill. But PvP, uh, they balance they change the PvP so that you match with people that are closer to your skill level, and basically closer to your ELO, which is how many games you win. Um, and so when you play PvP, it's more fun to play tactically than just running in and shooting everything and anything.
I agree. So what has there been? There have been what, 4 DLCs for Destiny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So each DLC includes one new map, one raid and one strike, right? I think, or is it 2 raids and one strike?
No, it's varied. So each DLC usually comes out with two to four new strikes and one new raid. But the only exception would be House of Wolves because no a raid didn't come out with the House of Wolves. And
Well, with the new stuff, do you still have to do a certain amount of grinding even when a new DLC comes out?
oh yeah.
I think that's one of the things that kind of like turned me off on it was, the grind. I guess that was the first shooter game. I mean, where the grind was necessary for you to really enjoy the game. If you take another tactical or any other type of shooter, even if you haven't unlocked a lot of the weapons, you can still have a good time with the game because people that you're shooting at do actually die when you shoot them. But in Destiny, I mean, if your weapon is not up to par, you could sit there and unload 3 clips and the guy's still coming at you.
Yeah, I guess that's true, but the grinds definitely become less. Um,
Yeah, when they added the light feature, right?
Yeah.
well, yeah, that too, but you can do so many things now. Um, I mean, like Cal said, you can run strikes all day. You can get better gear, get better guns, or you can do PvP all day, or just PvP, and that'll give you the same guns, the same things. Um,
But
Legendary marks, which used to be very important, are not that important anymore. You can get them with a lot of activities now. You don't have to farm all the materials to add your guns. You can just buy them and then upgrade your guns, and then so it's a lot easier. It's still grindy, but it's not like you have to spend hours farming. You know.
so for those guys watching, if they're like me and they have the game and they wanted to pick it up, I mean, where do you think they should focus their efforts? I mean, obviously, let's say from my point, I haven't gotten any of the DLCs. But if I was going to go ahead and do it, is there a particular DLC that you guys would recommend before another one? In other words, would you go through all four, or would you, if you could pick and choose, which of the 4 DLC would you prefer? I mean, you already said the Vaulted Glass was your favorite, but what other one?
Um. Tech, if you wanna.
Tech, your opinion?
Um,
He's trying to think of the
Well,
name right now, guys.
that exactly. I'm trying to think of the name right now.
Yeah, that ESP was working all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. I can just see him there. Well, geez, what the hell is the name of that map? Well, I know these are some hard questions, but
uh,
I mean,
I, I
it's. You got a choice? You got something to say, Cal? What do you think yours is?
Yeah, sorry. So the way that Destiny works is that it's like a tier base. So you can't just if you were gonna come into the game now, you wouldn't be able to just buy the latest DLC because you'd be able to level up because everything, all the light in between, you wouldn't be able to get. So I don't. You said you
So
stopped.
basically, somebody like me would be fucked if they decided to pick up the game again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Well, that's hard to say. I mean, I gotta say, I'm pretty disappointed that that's the way they. When you create a game like that and you put up those barrier walls for players that look, a lot of people are flaky. This month they like shooters. Next month they want to play role-playing games. The month after that they want to play sports games, and then maybe they'll go back to the FPS. So I think when you put up walls like that for skills or DLCs, it splinters the community and it creates this void or divide that really is hard to overcome for some titles.
Well, it definitely is not made for your average FPS player. It's I don't know. I would say it's a game for special people. No pun intended.
No, I think that they transition that MMO style and over to the console with this title. I think it's probably one of the better games to do that. For years, PC MMOs like this, had long grinds to get to the next level, or the next map, or the next gun. Destiny brought that to console, and at first I gotta say, when the game came out, I mean, I loved the way it looked. I liked a lot about the way it played. But when you're going against the character in the PvE section of the game, and he's a bullet sponge, he's level like 68, and you're like level 32, and or whatever, and you're literally putting an entire clip at him, and he's still coming. I mean, you can still get him, but it got to be a little bit much. And I mean, I played around and did. I think I didn't do too many of the strikes. Rather, I'm sorry, I take that back. I didn't do too many of the raids just because of how long they took. I couldn't commit to that kind of time sitting in front of the TV without interruption. I'm an old guy. My wife wants something. I got to get up and go. It's like one of those things. Um, but I mean, I think that was one of the things that kind of like eventually put me off of Destiny, and then there's the whole fantasy side of it, and I agree with you, Tech, as you said earlier. I think a lot of the story is lacking. I don't know, the backstory we know about, but even the current story when these new DLC come out is it's sketchy. It's like what?
Yeah, they've made it in a way where you have to go into your grimoire where you have your cards and you can see all the guns and all the enemies and so on and so on. And most of these things have like small stories or small conversations in between guardians, and so the story is basically connected through like all small dots, and they yeah, there's a little bit of like secrecy behind it. It's really funny actually.
Do you agree with that, Cal?
Yeah, a lot of the lore of the game or a lot of the story is online in the Grimoire cards on Bungie's website.
What you mean? I have to read? No, don't say it so.
Not so much that, it's just the fact that you actually have to get out of the game to.
Yeah, no, I agree. You got to be in that lobby area. Yeah, someplace where you're not going to get shot.
No, no, you actually have to go onto their website to get it.
Oh, to mean to get the full cards and all? You mean?
Yeah, yeah, it's not in the game, it's on their website.
Jeez, I can't get people to fucking go to our website to say hello. I wonder how the hell that's working out for Destiny. Um, well, let's switch gears now. I mean, that's pretty much the end of the current segment as far as where Destiny is now. Let's talk a little bit about where it's going. First of all, there's nothing new going to be coming out for this title, right? Until the release of Destiny 2.
Yep.
What have you heard, Tech, about Destiny 2 that makes you? Are you interested in getting it? Let's start out with that.
Uh, Pre-ordered already.
Okay, I guess that's commitment. What was it that made you say, "Oh, let me get this"? Was it just because you played Destiny 1, or was there some video or article that you read that said, "Oh, let me get this"? Again, he's thinking. Well,
Not the story continues basically.
well, since the story was such a drag in Destiny 1, how do you think that that's going to translate to Destiny 2?
Um, that depends. Sorry, I'm also doing some other stuff at the same time. That depends. They want to try a more MMO style with the new one. At least that's what they've been saying. So um, yeah, in those games normally the story is a bit of the driving force. So I hope that that will come through. The other thing is yeah, obviously I've played this game, so I'm just hoping it'll be graphically stunning and a little bit better than this one.
So what you're looking for is better graphics, a continuation of the story. What else would you want to see?
Um, I guess a little bit more variety in the PvE. I think strikes and raids is fun, but maybe something else in between.
Well, you're a long-time gamer and a PC player. What things from other MMOs would you like to see them do?
Well, maybe a more of a free roam game would be nice.
Well, I thought the free roam portion of the maps in the PvE section were pretty big. Cal, same questions for you. What kind of things would you like to see in Destiny 2?
So they're already talking about um, like anything that you've gotten in Destiny 1 is not transferring over, besides your characters.
Of course
Uh,
not.
yeah, I don't
That
see
would be
how it
too
would,
cool.
but yeah. Um, but same thing as tech. I want to see better graphics. Destiny 1 um looked pretty good in my opinion, but they can do better. And also, just I'm waiting for the story to actually progress. The story got better as Destiny 1 went on, but it was still lacking nonetheless.
I think that in the Destiny thing, when you're dealing with that fantasy world environment type thing that they're doing, I guess Destiny proved that you really kind of need to have a very strong backstory to make that work. I mean, I'm playing right now. My son got Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, just to give some real quick foundation, you guys probably have seen this. This is the woman, the girl player, and she's kind of fighting animals and hunting mechs that look like dinosaurs but are actually machines. But I'm playing it, and I just got finished playing Tomb Raider 20th Anniversary and Uncharted 4, which all are kind of the same genre in the sense that it's an adventure game. And as I played each one, I started to see the subtle differences of each. You had Uncharted with an unbelievable story. Tomb Raider's backstory, was a little weak and frail in some areas if you played the main game, but they had two sub games that really enhanced the story and told you a little bit more about the character's background and why she's doing what she's doing. And I think that when you look at games like this, like Destiny and even to a certain extent like the Division or other games like that, if you don't have some sort of foundation for the story, it kind of the whole theme gets lost. It just doesn't hammer home well. And everybody complained when Destiny first came out about the lackluster story or there was no depth to the lore. And I think that transitions from the PC world where people played this sort of game and wanted to see that in-depth story, which we saw in PC titles. Do you guys agree with that thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree.
If you could do anything with Destiny 1 to fix something that you didn't like in. I'm sorry. If you could do anything you wanted with Destiny 2 by changing something from Destiny 1, what would it be? Let's start with you, Cal.
Okay. Destiny 1, we had Trials of Osiris, which came out in the House of Wolves, which was the second DLC. And in year one, I really liked it. The PvP at that point there was still a meta, but it was still like a lot more balanced than it is now. But in Destiny 2, it's been pretty much. Yeah, I guess it hasn't been confirmed, but one of the developers hinted at one of the DLCs being a Trials of Osiris based DLC. And I just want to see them improve on that and balance the PvP a lot more they had than what they've done this year because aspect or in some or a lot of aspects is mess.
You're saying that the PvP version of the game is a mess?
Yeah, it's not terrible, but it's still really not. It's not balanced,
Ed.
and it's really messy in a lot of ways. So,
Well, be a little more specific, Cal.
um, when you go into PvP, I'll give you an example. On an average game, when you load into the game, it's usually a lot of hunters and warlocks, and probably about one titan. And all of the weapons are exactly the same. It's either Thorn or Mida, and a shotgun or a sniper. You never see fusion rifles. And the new upcoming meta is um, sidearms, and it's specifically the wormwood sidearm, I think it's called. Everyone's using it, and the reason for that is that it basically never runs out of ammo. So
Tech, do you agree?
Yeah, I been that war uh, a few times myself. It's yeah, it's pretty annoying that the meta basically dictates the PvP side of this game. Um, yeah, I think it's like I said, it's very unbalanced. It's bad.
Well, frankly, in my opinion, anything, and I mean anything that uses metrics alone to establish success or failure is a failure itself. I don't think that metrics are always a good indicator as to what works or what doesn't. I mean, we've seen a lot of games these days that use metadata to determine how players are skilled. For instance, in Battlefield, and I'm sorry for those of you that have seen a couple of these podcasts I refer back to because that's my title. Um, in Battlefield, they use the metadata to verify if a weapon is OP or underpowered and so on, and it allows them to tweak it a little bit. Sometimes that's a good thing, and other times it's a bad thing. And I think the more that companies use metadata to determine balance or whatever else, you're always going to have this certain degree of unbalancing or feeling it during the game that you're just not accomplishing what you thought with a weapon or gadget or skill. So I mean I don't think that anything's going to change anytime soon. These are tech guys and everything is metadata and metrics nowadays, but you hope that they learn their lessons the right way and don't transfer it into another title.
yeah, I'd hope so. Um, Sometimes I feel like the developers of these games don't play their own game. So
I've played some titles where I've said that to myself many times. Did anybody actually play this fucking game before they released it?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, Cal. What is your favorite way to run around in Destiny right now? I mean, what character do you like the most?
My favorite character is a Titan. Actually, I'm not a Metamancer. I'm just a normal person.
Yeah, right. Zach, you.
Honestly, I'm kind of addicted to this hunter. It's yeah, it's pretty badass.
Why do you like the hunter over the other character loadouts that you can do?
Um, well, honestly, my gun. Well, you know about my gun game, so it's not the best. Um,
Yeah, just like me.
so So yeah, I don't know. This character normally you can add a lot of speed and agility to it, so you can always evade and it has a lot of like really close combat if you play correctly. So for me, that's a little bit better.
Cal, same question. Well, I
Um,
guess you answered it.
I guess.
Would you guys? Well, let me ask you this: coming for Destiny 2, I mean, would you like them to keep the same type of loadouts? Would you like them to add an additional one or remove one? If so, which one would it be? We'll start with you, Cal.
Um, I don't think any of the loadouts are coming back, actually, like as in Striker Titan or Sunbreaker, for instance. I know that Warlocks, Titans, and Hunters are, but as in like gameplay mechanics and lore-wise, loadouts are coming back. But if they were, hypothetically, I would just keep it the way it is because it seems fine to me.
Zach, do you have an opinion?
Well, as far as I've heard, you will start out empty. So, like you said, hunters, warlocks, and titans will be there, but you won't have any of the subclasses. Um, there will be, I think they will start out with one subclass per guardian. There were some photographs and some drawings that leaked, I think, from Bungie. Well, leaked, so to speak.
Leaked.
Um,
That's
yeah,
one you put in
exactly.
quotes. They released it, but they didn't release it from their official site.
Yeah, exactly. So I know there's gonna be some kind of subclass, but yeah, I think it's a good thing to start out with new subclasses, though. I mean, just something new, something fresh. Some new weapons would be nice. Maybe the loadout screen can be a little bit more intricate, so you can do a little bit more things with it. But maybe it becomes too difficult then for people, too complicated.
Well, I gotta say right now that was one of the drawbacks for me was understanding how the different light and this thing or that thing equated to a weapon. I mean, it wasn't like an attachment or something that you were seeking out to make your weapon better. You had to like kind of conjure or create something that you didn't know, and they didn't really describe that or explain how you got your player character level up or your light up or so on and so forth, and it is very confusing. I know the numbers should tell you, yeah, this is going to make my character better, but they forget to tell you your character was walking around like he's got cement shoes on. So basically, you're talking they're going to have the three cores, and then they may have sub. Are they talking about four DLCs for Destiny 2 as well?
I
Two at the beginning. I know there's gonna be expansion one and two, and after that, most likely there'll be that those are not confirmed yet.
Cal,
yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's just two and two again, but like you said, I don't think they're.
do you guys think that they're going to get on a 3-year rotation of this game? Is Bungie going to come out with a new Destiny title every 3 years?
I think the original idea when they were still signed with Activision was a 10-year plan. So first 3 years would be a game, and then second 3 years. But since they're not signed with Activision anymore, I'm sure they can do whatever they want. But if they're gonna keep making Destiny titles, they're gonna have to keep coming up with different storylines and
Well, the
things.
farther they can get away from Activision, the better.
Exactly.
I mean, look, Activision's put out some good titles, and I'm not going to throw them under the bus overall, especially since their offices are just a few miles from my house. Um, but what the thing is that I always something about their games always seemed a little cheap.
Yeah, Activision wanted to turn Destiny into a uh marketing product,
Yeah, with
and
microtransactions, I remember them talking about that in the beginning. Yeah.
yeah, and now, I mean, Bungie took over, and the microtransactions didn't get as bad as we thought they were gonna get. It's still just emotes and cosmetic things, but when Activision was still signed with them, they were talking about doing armor and everything. It's not.
Any indications that there's going to be microtransactions in Destiny 2?
Haven't heard or read anything about that, but
Neither.
I
What's the
assume it's going to be the same as with Destiny.
Yeah.
what is the rough player base for the title now on PS4? Do you guys have any idea?
I'm not sure. I know it's still a lot. Um,
What's a lot?
a lot meaning that when people first bought the game, it was around 3 million, and then it just kind of got up from there. I
Three
don't know what
what?
it is. 3 million?
You think it's above 3 million now?
No, not right now. When the game first came out, people were buying it. That's how many. I think that's the rough estimate of how many copies were sold. But it increased obviously a lot over the expansions. But right now, it's in a dead zone again. Um, and a lot of people have left because of all the dead zones that they have. So it's probably not that much, but I'd say it's probably still probably in
You
the 100,000s.
you agree with that, Tech?
I I didn't know that there was 3,000 or 3 million copies sold, but yeah, I would agree with him that the player base has dropped now uh, a lot. I would say if there's 100,000 players continuously playing this game only, I think that's much.
It's really remarkable to me about certain titles that you hear that are blockbuster AAA titles, and then a year after the game came out, their player base starts to go away. I mean, we're seeing this right now in Battlefield 1. When the game came out, on the PS4 stats tracker for it, there were three, 400,000 on PlayStation 4 at once, but now it hovers around 100. I think the highest I've seen in the last couple of months like 160,000. But it hovers around 100,000, and PC has actually suffered a lot in that game. And I don't know what that is. I think people become a little bit more fickle in titles. They play it and they're very quick to trade it in if it isn't exactly what they thought.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot. I've done that a
Uh,
few times myself.
that's one of the things that concerned me about a title like Destiny, which originally was supposed to be released as a digital copy only, and then they released it as a disc. It makes me wonder if they're going to try that again.
I didn't actually
No,
hear
they
about
don't.
that.
So, as we get ready to wrap up here, Tech, I mean, if there was one thing on the whole, beyond the story, where would you want to see the story go, Tech?
Honestly, knowing what the Destiny 2 is going to be, uh, I would love the story to go sour. Uh, I mean,
So your
so
character becomes a bad guy.
that could be a possibility, or at least we have an open ending in which, let's say, the enemy in Destiny 2, which I think is going to be the Cabal, um, you know, win or almost win, let's say, and then they have to extend the story again, something like that, something where you extend the game to. Well, they have a 10-year plan, so they're gonna have to figure out something. You can't just be like, oh, we're winning, and then all of a sudden the story continues. I mean, if you won, what's the point, right?
So you would like to see a connection from the current title into the next title where the theme takes a totally different direction.
Yeah, something unexpected. I think that'll be great for the story.
Cal, same question for you.
Yeah. So in Destiny 2, through the trailers, we can pretty much see that the Traveler is dead or it's dying. And so seeing like a or not a bad ending, but like a negative ending, in a way, if that makes any sense, where we lose or almost lose, and then in the next game we come back. That would probably be very appealing to most people. Um, because it just leaves so many open ends for the story, and I don't want it to be a cliffhanger, but an open-ended story would be okay.
Okay. Um, Well, as we get ready to wrap it up, are you guys still? Do you still think that Destiny is fresh for you to play now? I mean, can you still get in the game and really enjoy your time playing it? For you, Cal.
I've actually, well, I suppose, I usually only play it when I have a few friends online. I've stopped playing it by myself. I choose to play other games like Battlefield or anything. If I'm just gonna play by myself. But if someone invites me to Destiny, I'll probably hop on. So.
Alrighty. Tech, same question.
As long as there's people playing that game, so if I can find anyone to play with, then yeah, I'll keep playing this game.
Well, for those of you that are listening and watching, obviously you got two guys out here. If you want to get back into Destiny, or, even if you haven't reached the higher levels yet, I mean, Tech and Calculus or Calicitus or whatever how you pronounce it, they're out there. They'll be willing to help you out and get you going. But unlike, I mean, if you're my level, which is like less than 100, or I think I'm like 120 on the game. I haven't even looked at the game, so I don't even know what my light level is. Uh, you have some folks that you can reach out to here, and when Destiny 2 does come out in the fall, we will be doing an updated force feedback to give you guys some more information about what we feel about the title. Before we wrap it up here, Cal, is there anything else you'd like to add about Destiny 1 or 2?
Not much. I just want to say, I mean, if you don't have Destiny 1, if you really want to, you can get it. It would help a lot if you're gonna get Destiny 2. But other than that, I feel like if you're gonna get Destiny 2, it'll probably be pretty good. I have a hopeful outlook on the game, hoping hoping that it'll be.
Okay. Tech, do you have anything else to add on Destiny 1 or 2? Tech?
No, really.
No, not really. Sorry, Tech. You
That's
guys got to
fine.
know, Tech is the king of the man of few words.
That is true.
Tech, the world is coming to end, man. What do you think? Huh? Whatever. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it, Tech. It was just out there. I had to do it. Uh, all right, for those of you that are watching, this is the second in our series of Talon Strike Force podcast. We have now renamed it Force Feedback. Talon Strike Force Force Feedback. The next one is going to be on Battlefield 1, followed hopefully by Planet Side 2. We are then
Finally.
going to expand out into other titles to include Titanfall, Overwatch, Rocket League, and then we're going to do a whole special on sports games, including FIFA, Madden, the various baseball titles and basketball titles. That's going to be a special where I'm going to bring everybody that plays sports games into one giant podcast, and we're going to talk shit for the whole 1 hour.
Awesome.
So, so stay tuned to the Talon Strike Force channel for these podcasts, which will be trying to come out every other week. So stay tuned. And if you want to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, and of course the Talon Strike Force website, which is www.talonstrikeforce.net. For Tech Sergeant Calculisius, this is Rocket Rob, and this has been Force Feedback. Have a good night.
And we'll see you out on the battlefield.